Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Welcome back to another video on my very first ever obsession. We're back with the ROV pilot, or the virtual ROV pilot, Titanic. So we're here today because if we press play, we can see that we can now select our mission. So before it was always the bow, but now they've added the stern. So we're going to put this into easy difficulty, which I think is only really, it affects the lighting, so you can actually see more realistic. You can see like what the actual conditions would be like down there. Easy, you can see it almost looks like the Ken Marshall paintings, and or Ken Marshall, and the moderate is probably a little bit in between. So we're going to do that. We're not going to play the tutorial. And I might have to, I might have to change the settings here on the visual. The stern, for whatever reason, the stern section, I think there's just a lot more to it, believe it or not, but the ultra resolution, my laptop, which is not a bad laptop, but it struggles. Alright, so this is something that I've been really looking forward to for a very, very long time. So, back when I was, I think it was the first or second grade, but I'm almost positive it was the first grade. So I would have been like 6 or 7. So that would have been 89, 90. So the wreck had only been discovered a few years prior. And I was in the library, and we had a substitute teacher. I think she was with us for the rest of the year, because I'm pretty sure our first grade teacher ended up taking like most of the year off. So we were in the library, and the teacher comes up to me, is just like, "You might be interested in this book," and it was a little book on the Titanic, and I was hooked from that point forward. But one of the things, like when I got my first actual Titanic book, one of the first images that really captured my like attention and imagination was the Ken Marshall painting of the Titanic stern, which you don't get a lot of focus on because the bow is very pristine looking. Even in the current state that it's in, it's still, kind of like this regal looking thing. But the stern is just absolutely destroyed. So the painting was the profile view of the stern, and you had the Alvin submersible on the seafloor, and it had the Jason Jr. actually out and looking at the ship's propeller, which we're going to take a look at here. But yeah, this is the stern section. And you can already see, like, there's just absolute devastation. And unlike the bow section, the stern section has a lot, and I mean a lot of debris surrounding it. So we're going to take a look at that here. But first, let's recreate that that moment and take a look at the propeller here. But yeah, this is just like absolutely crazy. So this is the Magellan. They were a company that went down to the wreck site back in 2022 or 23, and we can't quite see the lettering or stuff there, but that's all right. Or, well, no, that kind of looks like a C, doesn't it? Maybe not. I don't know. I could be losing it. But they went down and they had these ROVs take these like tens of thousands of high resolution images, and they put it together to create this 3D model of what the shipwreck actually looks like. So this isn't like, there's been like Titanic ROV or VR, I should say, programs and stuff like that in the past, but they were always somebody's like rendition of the wreck site, and they may have been based off of like paintings or pictures or photograph collages and stuff like that. But they were always something that had to be created by an individual, whereas this is the real wreck. This is the image of the real propeller. It's not somebody having created this and rendered it themselves. This is the real propeller, and you can see right here. I'm going to move this out of the way here, but you can see the 401. You can mostly see the O and the 1. The 4 is a little bit harder to see there. I can't get too close, but you can definitely see the 01. Titanic's hull number was 401. So when it was being constructed at Harland and Wolff, they don't typically refer to the ship by name. They instead refer to it by hull number. So the Olympic was 400. The Titanic was 401 because they were built alongside one another. We'll get around the other side here so you can actually see what that looks like. And then the third sister ship, Britannic, which I would be awesome if they could do something like this with the Britannic as well. But the Britannic, which was launched in during, like, was it 1915, or it sank in 1916. But its hull number was 433. So there you see, and again, like, you just get an idea of just how, like, massive, or just like the amount of damage here. Like that here, that is what's called shell plating. So that is like the skin of the ship is just peeled away, and the stern, just like the bow, where it landed and kind of broke its back and was slanted downwards, the stern is also angled downwards there. So it's supposed to be kind of like, straight, or I think he might have even had a slight upward angle to it. So it's just, again, absolutely devastated. And again, you can see some debris here. There's some of the railings, the guard railings that would have fallen off. If we come over here, I'm surprised that the propeller, because you get in the missions to search like the right propeller, although it should say starboard, because that's what that's what it is. It's not letting me scan it. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. We'll scan what objectives we can find here. So that is the starboard propeller. And the other thing is, like, so these propellers, they're supposed to be like way further down in the mud. Like, this is, like, they should be at the bottom of the ship. And when they hit the seafloor, the impact was so massive that the arms, or kind of like what the wings, or whatever you want to call it, that they were on, sticking out the side of the ship, they were just like bent basically straight upwards. So again, just utter devastation. But it's going to get even worse looking as we go here. So again, you see some pieces of metal. And now over here, so the stern, as it was sinking, unlike the bow that was actually pointed down in the hydrodynamic position, so it just kind of cut its way through the ocean. The stern essentially corkscrewed, and it corkscrewed pretty violently on its way down. And when it impacted the sea, like as it was turning, basically, stuff was being ripped off, shell plating was being ripped off, items from inside the ship were just like being, forced out, and they rained back down upon the ship when it finally came to a landing. So here, and I didn't know this. I scanned this one earlier, but I guess it doesn't save if you don't do the whole thing. So this is galley furnaces. So I mean, like the galleys where they were preparing the food. Um, so like this should have been like inside the ship and not at the very edge of the stern there. So that's like debris that landed on it, and you can see the stern here, right? So this is the poop deck that got you can see like these rib structures. That's the bottom of the deck. So basically, the deck was ripped up and it just folded over itself. So like this should be underneath. This should not be on the top. Like that's the ribs are the inside structure. All right, so we're gonna clear the stern a little bit here, and then we're gonna go back down. So yeah, I was going through this a little bit earlier, and we're just gonna take a look around here. So again, we got some just twisted bits of steel on the ocean floor. There's the port side propeller. Again, there's more plating. Right, you can just like it's the stern is almost completely. If it wasn't for this section of the stern here, just like this shape, to about right there going down, um, you wouldn't, it would be much, much more difficult. Like, if this was the first part that was discovered, it would have been somewhat difficult to tell if it was actually Titanic or not, just because it's so destroyed. Like, this part here actually is you'll see here in a bit, it's actually pretty pristine compared to everything else. But again, we've got some debris and stuff here. I want to see if we can take a look at. So again, we got some twisted bits of metal. I'm just going to switch to, I know it's not going to work very well. Well, it's actually not performing too terribly. Okay, I guess this isn't where I thought it was. There was spots where you could see quite a bit of interesting debris on the sea floor. But all right, so this looks like some siding or shell plating of the ship. All right, connected to, but just look at that. Just look at that. This was a 50, 60 feet from the keel to before you get to the superstructure, and it's just collapsed and pancaked down. Like this section here, that's probably only about 10 or so feet, 10 or 12 feet off of the seafloor. Like that's just how utterly destroyed everything is. It's just absolutely insane. Just how bad the damage is here. And there's so that is the mast. All right, and there's more siding of the ship. This over here like this over here. This was on top of, like the top of a superstructure. You can kind of see a bit of its shape. This is like elevator machinery, and it's just, again, like it literally looks like a bomb went off. And here's the so again, this is like the look of the looking back towards the stern. It's just almost impossible to tell what anything is. It's just crazy. Is this the crane it wants me to look for? I think this is the only crane still left on the stern. Oh, maybe this isn't the one it wants me to look for. Alright, let's come out here again. Like, just, it's crazy. And again, what blows me away is, like, this is the real shipwreck. And I know I said that in the bow video, but my God, like, it's just utter, it's insanity. And again, you can see like big, just huge pieces of debris. So you kind of get a bit more, like I said, just a sense of like the devastation here compared to. So this, I believe, is another crane here. Compared to the bow section, like, it's just madness. And there's the, again, the mast. A lifeboat davit. Oh. But the labeling that as a crane? That's interesting. Because that is definitely... I mean, is that a... No, that looks like a life... It looks like a lifeboat davit. I'm pretty sure that's a Welland davit. I don't think that's a regular crane. But anyway, that's fine. Again, just pieces of wreckage everywhere. I guess, again, this is the side of the ship that's just bowed out. Like, I mean, just look at this and tell me what does it look like? It's just so it's honestly it's kind of depressing because, you know, when you see like the paintings, you see some of like the images from like the 85, 86 expeditions. The stern has just really deteriorated even more. And basically, you know, when something is damaged, like opened up on a shipwreck, like the deterioration there tends to be accelerated versus, you know, the portions that are fully intact. So the stern is just melting almost. So here are parts of the engine. So it wants us to locate the starboard side engine. And there we go. Okay, so we'll take a look here in a second. But I mean, so these here, I mean, these are 30 feet tall. So if we want to get like a sense of scale, these are 30 feet tall. And there are parts of this wreck that are below it, that should be well above it. And I think we can get a little look at the double bottom here. So this was not part of the original breakup. And it's one of those things that I'm kind of glad to see that it's being corrected in a lot of things. The original breakup was between the second and third funnel. So what we have here is basically from the fourth funnel back. So there's like just the section between the third and fourth was blown apart, and like it rests in several large chunks. So there are plans to release the debris field as well. So when we get the debris field, we might actually be able to come across some of those objects, right? Like you'll be able to find, hopefully, you'll be able to find, you know, the two pieces of the double bottom from where the split did occur. Whoop. Let's just get real down here. And I don't know if we'll be able to see. You know, and this is, I mean, this is incredible for like, this is only like 10% apparently of the full resolution of the real scans, well, of the actual scan. So this is like 10% of what they offer, and already you get so much. But to go into like, to have the debris field and be able to see those two pieces of the double bottom, to see the 3-story tall chunk of like the missing middle portion. My goodness. So again, just some more utter devastation here. Now, is this, I believe, I'm not sure if this is a boiler. Or what that might be. Again, we're at only 10% resolution here, but you can see, geez, that's pretty big. That might be a boiler. I don't know. No, I think that's too small to be a boiler. It's really hard to tell. You don't get a whole lot there. But yeah, you can see like piping and tubing. Some more of that, and this is crazy here. So I'm gonna move. So I'm gonna highlight what it is, and then I'm gonna move the thing out of the way. But that's floor tile. So like these are pieces of the, so there's actual like pieces of floor tile on here, like down here, that you can see on the wreck site. So there's another one there. And again, this is only 10% of the resolution. You can also see why you don't get a lot of focus on the stern, because it's such a tangled mess of metal and steel and debris. That it's very treacherous to navigate. But we're going to try to get closer to the So there's one of the only kind of like really besides the edge of the stern, like the very back of the stern itself. This little bit here is actually recognizable. I think this was what, part of C deck? C deck or B deck? No, there's C deck. Because you can actually see this is where it would have, where this kind of like swooped down. This would have been like the transition from the end of the deck there down to the like the little well deck below it. And there appears to be the remains of another lifeboat davit. And you got again this just the shell plating from the side of the ship just ripped apart and resting over top of the ship. There's the side just completely spread out. Not quite sure where I'm going to find the condenser inlets right now, but that's not overly what I'm looking for. Again, I just kind of want to show. So that's like a recognizable portion of the Titanic. And it doesn't go very far. We get a little bit there, a little bit there as well. Like I said, there's that elevator gear. So again, this would have been, part of B deck, I guess. And it's just folded over. I don't even know if you can see the hole for the funnel, just because of how much stuff is collapsed down. So not nearly as clean looking, obviously, as the bow section. That might be it. That might be it there. That might be the hole for the funnel, but my goodness, it's really hard to tell. All right, just gonna take a screenshot there to use for the thumbnail. But yeah, so there we go. So this is the actual Titanic stern, flattened down to almost nothing. You can barely recognize any details of it whatsoever. Again, you can see like just both sides of the ship just opened up, flopped over. Again, we'll take a look at the how this decking here is just peeled up and folded over. Absolutely insane. So, like, I mean, this is really cool. I hope they do stuff like this with other shipwrecks. Like, I would love for vROV to like feature several different shipwrecks. Like, be awesome for them to do this with the Britannic. I know the Lusitania wreck site's in pretty rough shape, so I don't know if they would bother with that one or not. But it is also a pretty historical shipwreck. Empress of Ireland. But yeah, like just look at that. Utter destruction. Absolute utter destruction. And yeah, so this is a portion of the ship that is not really shown all that often. And I guess, just because it's difficult to navigate, it's risky to navigate, and it's not as visually, aesthetically I don't want to say pleasing because that's definitely not the right word. But I guess it's just not as pristine looking as the bow section was. I mean, again, it would be very difficult to know what ship this was if it weren't for like just a couple of things like the shape of the stern here, the 401 on the propeller blade. I mean, I think the lettering for like Titanic and then the Liverpool lettering underneath might still be visible on the full scans, but at 10% you're not going to see that. But I mean, we saw like floor tiles. It's just like this is the one that I wanted to see the most, because the stern section's always fascinated me, and it's the least kind of discussed portion of the ship. So with this Magellan vROV, it gives me a chance to like see the real ship with my own eyes. Diving to the wreck was always like from the time I was a kid and first like becoming obsessed with the story of the Titanic. Like diving down to the wreck was like a dream come true type of thing. Well, a dream that definitely didn't come true. Excuse me. But with this, I mean, I can. And I don't have to get on a ship. I don't have to go out to the middle of the ocean, and I don't have to get into a tiny, cramped submersible. So I get to see the real Titanic. And, so this is, like I said, if we were to change, I think it's under gameplay. Well, that's medium, huh? What's low? Okay, so I guess it was on medium. But if we were to go to ultra, right? Like, whoop, like you're not seeing much of anything there. So yeah. Anyway, this is available on Steam. I'm pretty sure it's still available for purchase. It's technically early access. But it's just an amazing experience. And if you're anyone like me, something like me, who I've obsessed over this my entire life, or pretty much the majority of my entire life, then like this is something that is definitely recommended that you check out, because you just get this incredibly overwhelming sense of awe looking at this and knowing that this is the real thing. And I can't explain how different that makes it, overseeing, it being recreated, but knowing that it's like just something that somebody 3D modeled on a computer. So here, you get to see the actual wreck as it is, or as it was a couple years ago, and it's just absolutely amazing. So anyway, I guess that's it. That was my look at the Titanic Stern. When they do release the debris field, we'll be taking a look at that as well, and we might do some other things with this. Like, I'm hoping that at some point it will just all be interconnected, and you don't have to select between the different options, because that would be an incredible thing to experience as well. But anyway, that is it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed the look at the vROV Titanic Stern. Just an incredible mass of destruction here. Thank you also very much for your time. Thank you to Magellan, because they created these scans for like documentary use and stuff. I was always hoping they'd release it to the public. I wasn't expecting them to, and this like goes beyond my wildest imagination. So they deserve a huge shout out as well. Anyway, thank you all so very much. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.